What is good, everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be ranking every single Saints game of 2024. Now, these are not just the games I attended, these are like literally every single Saints game, because obviously I didn't attend every single Saints game, but obviously I watched them all, and yeah, since I am a Saints supporter, I thought I'd rank how we went in 2024 by each game. So we're going to be doing this on Trusty Tier List Maker, a website I use quite often, and yeah, let's get ranking games. Also, just note that this is part 1, so I'll be ranking the first 11 games that the Saints played in 2024. Let's get to the tier list. So here are the tiers. So we'll start at the top. So my top 4 games of 2024. There won't be many in this first part of the video, but that's okay. We have played well, so games that we just played well in, and most of them were pretty much wins. We had some really average games. Most of these were losses. Some of these were wins, but really boring ones. Boring, just boring. Just boring. A lot of those first games were boring as well. Horrible watch. Like, I couldn't watch the game. It was actually it was actually quite bad. And then we have heartbreak, which a lot of games we had in 2024 were heartbreaks. But let's start off with the first game of 2024, and that was the round 1 game where we took on Geelong down in Kardinia Park. Now, this game was close. We had an 8-point loss to the Cats. It was pretty low scoring, so the final scores were 10-8, 68. Sorry, 9-14, 68 to 11-10, 76. So the Cats got an 8-point win. Now, this is probably a game that sort of heartbreak me, but I was just really keen to get back into footy season for 2024. It was obviously exciting game 1 watching the Saints play, no matter where it was. So I'm going to put we played well. I'm going to put us in played well. It turns out Geelong actually played pretty well this year. They won like their first 7 games in a row when they weren't expected to do much this season, obviously after falling out of the 8 last season. So yeah, look, I thought we played pretty well in that game. I could have put it in heartbreak, but it wasn't like finals was on the line, or it wasn't like we were well into the season. So we played well for our first game of the season, but unfortunately we couldn't just get over the line over the Cats down at Kardinia Park. And considering we had to go away and play down in Geelong, an 8-point loss at Kardinia Park is pretty good considering how well the Cats usually play. So I'm going to put us at that game in. We played well as. Moving on now, our round 2 game against Collingwood. Now, this was a win by 15 points. At the time, Collingwood were 0-2, and we did make them go 0-3 in this game. This is our first win of 2024, round 2, obviously, bouncing back, and this has to be in my top 4 games. Again, a lot of these games that we won later on in the season are going to be in the top 4, but this definitely was my favourite. I love beating Collingwood. We actually played pretty decently against Collingwood. We had beaten them in the past in a couple of seasons, and obviously last year in Gather Round we did lose to them by 6 points, so it was just good getting that revenge. Also, this game was at the MCG, and it was a Saints home game, obviously being Spud's game. It just felt so good Thursday night to get a win. The final scores were 79-94, so the Saints did get up in this one by 15 points. But yeah, really good atmosphere, really good game, and what's much more better than beating the reigning premiers, especially when they're Collingwood. So yeah, this game has every reason to go in top 4 for the best Saints games this year. Even though it was in round 2 and the premiers did have quite a slow start to that season, I'm still going to put it in the top 4 because I feel like we played really well, and I was just so excited after the game, really happy. So yeah, definitely going in the top 4 for me. Moving on now, we have our round 3 game against Essendon. Now, this was the game where we led for most of it. I think we had like a 4-goal lead in the first quarter, and then we blew it. We were leading for pretty much the whole game, and then I think it was Peter Wright or someone kicked the goal like with under 5 minutes left, and it was a long bomb set shot, and when that went through, I just went, oh great, we're going to lose again to Essendon. We never seem to beat the Bombers. We lost by 4 points. The final scores were 10-7, 67 to the Bombers 10-11, 71. So yeah, just a really disappointing game, and this is definitely going in heartbreak because this was our round 3 game, and if we had won this game, we would have started off 2-1, and which would have been a pretty good start. Obviously, trying to follow up our good start like we had in 2023, which probably would have helped us make finals. And if we had have won this game, we actually would have probably made, well, not probably, but we would have been in a better chance for finals. And it was just disappointing because we were leading for the whole game and then we had to blow it. So definitely a heartbreak, and it's nothing is more annoying losing to Essendon, and honestly, there's nothing more that is that quite annoying. So I'm going to put this game in heartbreak because it was disappointing, and I feel like we had a really good chance to win it, and I definitely felt like we were the better team, so I'm going to put it in heartbreak. Next up, we have our round 4 clash against Richmond at Norwood Oval. Well, now, this was gather round, obviously, because we played at Norwood Oval. Now, this game, we could not kick a goal until like 5 minutes left in the second quarter. So it took us a good, what was it? Probably 35 minutes to actually kick a bloody goal of game time. So, yeah, look, I'm going to put this game in average. It was really average, and we were down by, I think it was like 30 or 29 points. Then we stormed home, kicking, I think, 5 or 6 goals in that third quarter, kicking a couple late, and we won by 7 points. The final scores were something like, I think it was 60 to 67, so we won by 70 points. Sorry, not 77 points. It was just a real low-scoring game. It was really boring, to be honest. I get it was at Norwood, and it is quite a wide ground, so maybe that's why it was such low scoring. But it was just a boring game, and we should have beaten Richmond by at least 5 goals. We only won by 7. I get that Richmond were coming off a win against Sydney at the MCG, which was only one of their couple wins for this season, but it was just disappointing. It's going in average, even though we did win the game. I could put it in boring, but we did sort of work our way back in, and Max Kim kicked that excellent goal, which did bring it up a bit, bring up the stakes a bit, but at this point after this game, we were 2-2, so it was pretty average, it was pretty boring, and it's not going to rank highly for me. Next up, we have our round 5 game against the GWS Giants. Now, this is a tough one to rank because for most of the match we were down. I think we trailed by as much as like 6 goals or just under that for most of the match. In the first quarter, we played pretty decently. Then throughout that second and third, we were just horrible. We were getting beaten in stoppage. We were getting beaten everywhere. Clearances, you name it. But in that fourth quarter, I think we kicked 6 or I think it might have been even 7 goals to claw our way back, only to lose by 1 point. Yes, I think we were trailing by like 34 points at 3/4 time. Ended up coming back, kicked 3 or 4 in a row to end out the game. Unfortunately, though, we lost by a point. So I'm sort of deciding where to put this. It was a great watch because it sort of was at Manuka Oval. We don't usually play there. Well, we played there in 2022, and I think we played there like 2017 or something. So this was our 3rd or 4th time playing at Manuka, but which was great. Obviously, playing down in Canberra, but yeah, this was just disappointing, and I think this started like a 3-game losing streak for us. So I'm not sure whether to put in heartbreaks. I feel like it wasn't that bad, but I feel like we played well, but not for most of the match. So I'm going to put it in heartbreak. It was a 1-point loss. We came back. We did all that work to only lose by a point. I can't put it in horrible watch because it was a decent fight back, and we were playing a Giants side who were, after this game, they were 5-0 before they had their little form slump. So yeah, again, that does play into a factor. Like, we were versing a pretty good team at the time, and obviously a very good team now. So I'm going to put it in heartbreak because I feel like we could have won if that game had have gone on for another 2 minutes or something. So yeah. Next up, we have our round 6 game against the Western Bulldogs. Now, we got absolutely thumped. We lost this game by 60 points. And I remember we were down by as much as like 80 or 81 points or something, like 13 goals. It was really embarrassing for most of the match. It was a Thursday night primetime. I thought we were going to show up and beat the Dogs because, again, like we always seem to lose to the Dogs. We can just never beat them. I hate playing the Dogs. They have so many dirty players. And obviously we came out and we got thrashed, so it was pretty boring. Now, this game, I think we got dominated. We had conceded like something like 70 points at half-time, which was also a pretty poor effort from the Saints. Now, I guess the second half was a bit better. We kicked to like 5 goals or something in the second half to not make the margin look more respectable. We lost 64 to 124 this one, so this was a 10-goal thrashing, but I'm not sure whether to put it in horrible watch or boring. I'm probably just going to put it in really boring for me. There's just nothing going on. It was just boring. Like, again, I can't say anything other than boring, so we're going to put it there. But again, I don't feel like it was as bad to put it in horrible watch, but there was just nothing exciting that went on, and there was no point throughout the game where we were going to look like we were going to come back. So I'm going to put it in boring. Moving on to round 7 against Port Adelaide. Now, this game was a bit controversial. You look at the free kick count, and it was favouring Port by an absolute mile. So I was pretty devastated after this game. I think we lost by 10 points, 72 to 80. So, relatively decent scoring, I guess. But it was just disappointing because I feel like we needed to win this game to bounce back. I think we would have been like 3 and 4 at the time. But after we lost this, we were 2 and 5, which was pretty disappointing. And we probably realised that we weren't going to make finals. We always seemed to lose to the Power, and it was at the Adelaide Oval. The umps were favouring Port. It wasn't a horrible watch. I feel like we did play well for most of it, considering where Port were. I think they were like 4 and 1 or 4 and 2 or something like that. So I guess it was. I'm going to put it in average. It was a really average game, to be honest. If you ask me, it wasn't bad, but then again, we probably could have won. We always seem to lose close games to the Power, and it's about time we finally get a win. Fortunately, that didn't happen in this game, and we lost by 10 points, another close one to Port, and it was just disappointing. It was Friday night as well. We got the primetime slot, obviously, because we had made finals in 2023. We got a few more primetime slots throughout this year, and most of them we just didn't deliver on. So it was really average to me, and average umpiring for the least. And I'm pretty sure Jack Higgins got suspended, I think, on that tackle on earlier or something. So wasn't really good takeaways from this match, and just disappointing for me. Moving on to our round 8 clash between North Melbourne. Now, obviously, I did go to this game. I was up in Melbourne for the weekend, which was obviously really good. So I did attend this game at Marvel, and we won. We won pretty comfortably in the end. We won by 38 points. I'm pretty sure the scores were 65 to 103, if I can remember. It was our first time kicking 100 all year, and it took us until round 8 to do, which was, pretty annoying. We weren't scoring that much this year, so it was finally good to see us kick over 100. Now, there was no real points throughout the game where I felt like North Melbourne would come back and get on top. We started off pretty easily. It was goal for goal. I'm going to put us in it. We played well. I wouldn't say we absolutely thrashed them. We probably could have thrashed them a bit more, but it was just good to finally get a win, back on track. We were 2 and 5 at the time, and we got a win, so we were 3 and 5, and we got a bit of a percentage booster, winning by 6 goals, and we kicked over 100, and just a really enjoyable watch and a nice day at the footy. So I'll put us in we played well. I don't feel like it's definitely not a top 4 game, just because considering we were versing North Melbourne, who were 0 and 7 at the time. Obviously fell to 0 and 8 after that. I think North even started off 0 and 12 or 0 and 11 or something like that. So, we should be beating North Melbourne quite comfortably. And, we did that. We won by 38 points, so 6 goals and a couple of behinds. So, really good day. And, I'd say we played pretty well, considering our start and how poor we'd been against a North side, just to respond. So, I'm going to put we played well that game. Moving on to our round 9 clash between Hawthorn. Now, this game was up in Launceston at UTAS Stadium. We ended up walking away with a 5-point loss, 53 to 58. Now, this is going straight in horrible watch. You may ask why. It wasn't a thrashing, no, but I couldn't really watch the game. I don't mean physically, I mean mentally. It was just so annoying to watch. I couldn't sit there and actually watch it. We couldn't score. Neither could Hawthorn, but it was just a real scrappy watch. Now, the Hawks are obviously a decent side, right? But at the time, I think they were 1 and 5, and they had just got their first win the previous round before against the Western Bulldogs or something. So, I don't know, maybe a couple rounds before that. I think they got thrashed the week before by Sydney or something. But just a really disappointing watch, and I thought we'd honestly win and would maybe move up to 4 and 5 and put us back in the final race. But no, it was just boring. Nothing happened. Low scoring, and it was close in the end. But we should have really beaten Hawthorn by at least 5 goals, considering where they were in that point of time. So I think they had a similar record to us. I think they were 1 and 6 or something. So just disappointing. And, it was definitely a horrible watch for me. Nothing really happened. We only scored 7 or 8 goals for the whole game, and it was just disappointing, and it just reminded me of those like games where we just don't even score that much, and it was sort of just really bad to watch. Obviously, it was a bit of a heartbreak falling down by 5 points, but it has to go on horrible watch just because of this lack of skills, and every time we looked like we were going to kick a goal, we just missed right in front. Really inaccurate, and that's probably, again, another thing that cost us our inaccuracy, so definitely going in horrible watch for me. Next up, we have our round 10 clash back at Marvel against Freo. Now, this game, obviously, I think this was played in round 10. Yes, it was. Again, I don't really know how to feel about this game. I guess Freo were doing pretty good at that point in time. I think they had just got thrashed by Sydney the week before, though, at Optus. So I felt like we could decently win this. I felt like we probably should have, but I think we were, 3-6 coming into this game. So, and I think Freo were like, I don't know, probably like I don't know what they were, but they were something like, they were doing pretty good at this point in time. So we lost by 17 points. Again, a real low-scoring, boring game. It was 55-72. For most of the match, it was really close up until the third quarter, where Freo just got a couple of cheap late goals, and they just sort of pulled away. Some questionable umpiring in this one. I didn't feel like it was the best umpired game, but yeah, I guess it was disappointing. I felt like we had a chance to win. I guess it was just a boring game. It was an average game. I'm going to put it in average. We didn't play well. We certainly didn't play well. You know, I felt like we played it up to Freo, but yeah, it was just an average game to watch, to be honest. Nothing really happened, and nothing really more to say about that. No one really kicked any big goals, so I'm going to put that one in average. Okay, so the last game, part 1 of this video, obviously, our 11th game in round 11, we played Melbourne at the MCG. Now, this game was just another abysmal game. Again, this is where the game started to get really annoying as a Saints fan. It almost made me just want to, like, cry or something, you know. I just felt like we weren't a good team, and I felt like we were almost going to finish bottom 4. With the way we were going, and I think we were like, after this game, we were 3-7. So I actually didn't even stick around for the fourth quarter. I only watched snippets of the fourth quarter. This one was a horrible watch, definitely worse than the Hawthorn match. We lost by 38 points, 62-100. Now, I believe in that second quarter, we actually showed a sign of winning the game. Like, this is the first time, I think, where we had a heavy loss, where we actually showed some sign of the fight. But yeah, Melbourne just kept on kicking goals, and it was just disappointing because I felt like, you know, we could have certainly beaten them. I felt like, you know, they had been pretty average. They all sort of had a similar record to us. They were probably like 5-5 or something like that. But yeah, it was just a horrible watch. Nothing really happened. It was sort of low scoring. Melbourne, we conceded 100 points, which, you know, we don't often really do, and it was just nothing there defensively, nothing offensively, and not many memorable highlights for this one, apart from us playing at the G, and I think it was a Melbourne home game, so yeah, nothing really there, or inspiring there, so yeah, that was a pretty disappointing